Welcome back. My name is Dalton Smith, and this is Trust the Process, the podcast. Super excited to have another guest today, and we're going to take you guys back, way back to the very beginning of my entire process of this journey with one of my best friends. I have not seen this man enough in recent years, but he's going to share his story about growing up in Brevard County, going through everything we did in our childhood years, and then becoming a police officer and giving back to this community. So, without further ado, my man, Ryan Manning.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm stoked to be here.
Welcome to be here, bro. Give me a
Yeah.
little love. I've known you for the better part of 15 years,
Yeah, high school.
at least.
I moved
More
over.
than that, because we're 33. I'd say we met when we were about 15.
Yeah, yeah. I had just moved into the neighborhood and
Pioneer
found
Crossings.
the skater kid in the neighborhood, and that was it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's come a long way, dude. It's crazy to think that we're in our 30s now.
Yeah. So, we're talking 18 years of life growth, going through stuff.
Yeah,
And I've said this a couple times, but I wanted to bring some people on here that could give some context to the evolution of life. And you have been through your own journey. You have been a part of my journey. And I
yeah,
know you can attest to all the good things that come with trusting the process.
yeah.
And you're
Not
you're a
far.
police officer now. How crazy is
Yeah,
that? You're a cop, dude.
yeah,
We grew up as skater punks
yeah.
running from the cops, and then Ryan becomes a cop.
Dude,
You know
dude.
what? Hold on. This is from my boy Ryan Manning on deck today. I'm sorry, I had to
Oh,
do it.
yeah, I had to do it. Had to do it. Yeah, it's wild, dude. So like, I mean, you know me, so you know me in the back end, and you would never have guessed probably that I would become a cop. So
No, not in a bad way either.
no, no,
Just like, and I almost would say any of my friends that have become police officers, I feel like maybe it wasn't necessarily what they had in mind the whole time.
no.
But it seems like you're really enjoying where you're at and you're doing a lot of cool things.
Yeah, I hate to sound corny, but it's almost like it was calling. It sounds super corny, but yeah, I was lost, dude, and needed a direction in life and where I was gonna go, and I almost went military and drove past the academy, and I was in search of what I wanted to do, and I was like, that's it.
Because you're 33 now, and I believe you said you're
I've been
10 years,
11,
11.
yeah,
Congratulations, bro.
11 years on the force.
And you're at a St. Cloud.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. So we're going to jump back into that. I guess to introduce this from the very beginning, Ryan and myself have a really, really, really deep past.
Yeah,
And I think our high school years were as crazy as they could get as far as our friendship.
yeah,
Um,
we've had a lot of ups and downs.
yeah, no, and I do believe you were on the receiving end of some of my bullshit. So I am sorry. I know it's funny, but I was not the best friend at times.
Yeah,
And that was crazy because when you came over today, I looked at Trevor who works for us and I was like, hey, this is another person that was there for all those crazy stories.
yeah.
And you wrote it out with me, man. And that's one of my topics is high school, you moving to the neighborhood, meeting me. Just what was that whole evolution like for you?
So, I mean, my life is kind of crazy too. So like we all have our things, man. And that is I think what makes us who we are. So I think that the bad things that happen in your life can really mold you. And I was moving around a lot, and yeah, I moved over here, which probably was one of the best places I've been in my life. Meeting you and getting into this whole surfing world was epic. And
Because where had you come from prior to moving to Melbourne?
so, man, I lived a lot of different places. So, like my
Like
fam,
right before, where did you? Because I don't even remember where had you moved from.
yeah, well, St. Cloud. Basically had moved in with my grandma. It was like this back and forth thing. Like I've been in Bradenton, few different places, mostly in Bradenton. Came back and forth to St. Cloud, and yeah. So like, not to get into my whole life story, but growing up dynamics and father figures, things like that, was kind of a mess. And then I kind of had probably the most settled father figure I had when I moved here. And that's when I met you. I didn't know anybody, and I think you were one of the first people I met here, and you lived in the neighborhood. Did you remember I had a half pipe in the backyard?
Yeah.
That was sick.
And
We
that was
had good
how it kind
times.
of started, right? Because didn't you have it already?
We built it on Cinnamon Fern out there. But just the way life takes you there, and like there was a whole falling out with that side of life too. But the way life takes you there, and the people that are in your life, it really molds who you are. And I'm
Yeah,
really grateful to have you in my life, even through the bad stuff that we went through together. Um, it was great,
I
no matter
appreciate that,
what.
dude. I
So
love you, buddy. No, and
yeah,
it's called trust the process for a reason, and I don't
exactly.
know how deep people take that
Hmm.
because it's not just this cute little saying. When I brought that in as like my thing, I was in the deepest depression of my life. So looking at all my relationships, especially the strongest ones, they came from places of like trial and
Hmm.
growth. So we're kids, we're 15, we're 16, we're just figuring it out, dude. Girls,
We just
like
want to have fun,
just
like
skating, having fun, like, and you were always the voice of reason. Like you were right there with me doing enough sketchy stuff on a normal level,
yeah.
but you were like one of the voices of reason.
Yeah.
And
I remember
without,
talking you off of a lot of ledges, and
yeah,
being there for you, and I was happy to be there. Yeah, it's
because you fell into,
I don't know where that comes from, because if you know my past, you don't know that entire story. You don't like my dad and all that stuff. But if you knew it, like you'd be like, "How did you come from this?"
yeah,
Um,
well, and that's important because on that note, Father's Day was yesterday. Happy Father's Day,
Thanks.
bro.
Same to you.
Yeah, first Father's Day for
New
me. That was
new father.
surreal. It definitely hit yesterday for sure.
Yeah.
Like I anticipated it, I was excited, but yesterday, uh, I gave Kaya a bath last night and to just have this little moment. I was just like, holy shit.
Have you just cried for no reason yet?
Last night, dude. So last night, like literally, like I'm jealous. She gives Madison kisses all the time, and we'll be on this cart. We call it the Kaya cart, and I'll drag Madison in the cart, and Kaya sits in her lap, and she'll just look up at her and give her a kiss. And legit has only done it like once for me. And I'm giving her a bath last night, and I was just talking to her, and I was telling her I was like thank you for making me a daddy, and she literally looks at me and gives me the biggest kiss, and I like dude just absolutely broke me down. um, it's crazy. And we were
Yeah.
talking about other people's podcasts. I watched Theo Vaughn's podcast with Sal from Impractical Jokers. Such
I saw a clip from that. Yeah.
a powerful podcast. Maybe you saw the clip I'm talking about where he
Yep.
was like in
Talking about
tears
fatherhood.
talking about fatherhood and his daughter. And I felt that. And then again, it's like, oh, it's cliche, but you don't get it until
Till
you
you're in
have
it.
it. And I went into this thing like not trying to act like I knew, but I tried to talk to as many people and absorb. Still rocked my world. And yeah, it's incredible, man. Looking at that, just that, right? Like we're dads now,
Yeah. Which is the greatest thing ever.
for sure.
The greatest gift ever is being a father. And I'm about to have another one, so I'm stoked, dude.
Yeah, I'm so
I
stoked
get
for
a
you,
little
bro.
girl and I get a boy, so I'm
That's the
super
dream.
happy.
Got to bring him over here, dude. We'll have more shred
Yeah,
sessions and
yeah.
get the groms together. Um, going through high school, I always warn people. I call it normal trouble and like the danger zone. And I feel like you and me and the boys like trespassing to go skate, sneaking out, going to parties,
BCC.
BCC, running from the security guards.
Yeah.
Yo, do you remember? I'm not going to drop names, but do you remember when our one friend got hit by the golf cart?
Hmm.
So
That was a
BCC,
wild night.
dude, BCC was sick and tired of our shit.
Hmm.
We were trespassing at the college, constantly running, and they anticipated us
Hmm.
and they set us up and like booby trapped us,
Almost got me.
almost got you.
Yeah.
And then they hit our boy with a golf cart. And didn't they like break his wrist?
Something like
Like,
that.
because he
Yeah.
had like a cast after.
Yeah.
And they like zip tied him.
I
It
don't think they
was,
could do that, dude. Like as
no, dude,
security,
that was
that's
sketchy.
some legal troubles now that I know that stuff.
Yeah.
But
We basically declared war
we
on
were
them.
we were basically we were young, maybe a little dumb and bored, and that's what we did. But like we never had like ill intentions. We were just teasing a little bit. we would.
So what was it like? Because like I've was watching Steve-O's podcast. He's like learning from my podcast. I wish I would have shut up and asked people more questions. So I know, and a lot of people know the trouble I got in. What was it like being on your side for the really bad stuff? Like when I was hanging with those guys and I broke into a house, or
Oh,
and
dude,
at that
you're going
time
deep.
too, like what was it like for you being 16, 17? With that fear of like what is this, what's happening, and I'm,
Like what was happening with you.
yeah, like kind of
It,
seeping you into that boundary, you know.
yeah, it sucked because I was like, I felt like I was trying to keep you from that, and I had a hard time with it because I couldn't, and I had to keep myself away at that point when you got there because I knew the path, and it was scary, dude, and I didn't want that trouble, and I didn't want it for you, but I mean, we can get into it if you want, man. We fought that one time
Yeah,
over I don't even know what, dude.
well, so it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Me and you, for whatever reason, probably because you were being indifferent on purpose because of who I
I
was
think it
with.
was who we were
Well,
with.
dude, I remember who I was
She
with.
stirred up some
Oh my god, for sure, dude. The
problems,
chicks,
dude.
and are the
Yeah, I know,
devil.
dude.
So listen,
There's a
and
history of
but
that, but
I'm already hanging with these people that I shouldn't be hanging with. You know it, I know it.
yeah.
All my good friends were like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And so I remember there was the fight, right? So we're at the avenues.
Yeah.
I think I'm
All
hot
I heard
shit.
was like I heard that somebody else wanted to fight me. I didn't know it was you.
So if you guys remember Brevard County 2009, the avenues
Was the
was
hangout.
like
And they were cracking down too. They started
lots of
especially after
security.
that. After that, they're like, you were not allowed to hang out there, dude.
Yeah, so it was some stupid stuff. I'm with the group of people that wants to make problems, and I vividly remember one of the people that I used to be with all the time encouraging me to go get into this altercation with you. And I remember we got into a fist fight in front of the rave, like at the signs.
Yep.
And then we ended up like going down the sidewalk
You
kind of towards the
I think you had
rear.
like a getaway vehicle back there. I
Yeah.
was chasing you, dude. I was
Dude.
like, come back here, man. We
Yeah,
ain't done.
yeah. And
Crazy
so
times.
I look at those things, great story.
Yeah.
But thinking of the consequences, like I know you as a police officer now have seen probably countless incidents where a
Yeah.
fist fight turns into someone dead
Yeah.
because of an accident, total accident.
Yeah.
Someone just hits
That's
someone
what
and
I
they
was scared
fall.
about. I was real nervous about you getting hurt through
Yeah,
that period.
for
I
sure.
don't know if you know this because we weren't really talking then, but I was scared, man. Um, but I love watching your process and what you've come from, and that you've dug yourself out of that, and here you're here now, dude. It's super fucking epic.
I
You should be
appreciate
really
that,
proud
dude.
of that, dude.
It's crazy because you saying that hits different because I feel like I'm so used to telling the story
Mm-hmm.
that it's not that I downplay it, but I tell the story over and over. It's kind of crazy to hear it from you and hear the like, yeah, like the seriousness of it, you know? Um, Now, second situation, I can't remember categorically what happened first, but there was a scenario. This shit's crazy. And these stories haven't really been told. So when I vaguely say those crazy stories, this is one of them. I'm coming home from somewhere and I'm in my Ford Explorer, I think, and I see either your car or your mom's car behind me. And I think it's you, and I think you're like tailing me, like trying to start problems. So you would turn down the first street going right, coming into our neighborhood to go home, but you could also take that second street.
Mm-hmm.
So I freaking fly and come around that second street and pull up to your house like I'm trying to fight, thinking you're behind me trying to cause problems. It's your mom.
Yeah.
It's your mom. So I get in the car and little bit late.
Yeah.
She knows who I am.
Yeah.
Your mom and your stepdad, super cool guy,
Yeah.
came to our house pissed. So
There was a
pissed.
lot of drama.
And the bad thing about that is there wasn't even a problem. It was
Yeah,
me completely just being fired up at the time over anything.
yeah.
And I'm sure
Anything, dude.
you
Like
heard
you,
plenty about that.
yeah.
Do you know if that was
Anything.
before or after we fought?
I can't remember. That was a long
Because
time
that
ago.
didn't help, regardless.
Yeah, no.
And that was a big blow for me because then, like, you didn't trust me, like, your parents didn't trust me.
Yeah,
And it was a bummer too because it wasn't what it looked like because your mom was actually shook.
yeah,
She was legit convinced something bad was about to happen to her,
yeah.
not some dumbass high school kids. So that sucked. And I remember around the same time, I had gotten arrested and the cops came to my house looking for me. And I had to like come home because they were going to get me. And as I pulled to the house where they arrested me, Britt's mom and dad are walking the dog.
Britt Pryor, or Brett.
Henderson,
Okay. Anderson.
like one of my best friends at the time.
Yeah,
And that was bad. It was really bad. And at the time, I was the dumbass friend that like was there when Britt got like caught smoking pot or whatever. But now it's this big thing. So yeah, man, that was tough.
I
And I
was no
feel
angel either, dude. Like, I don't want people to get that impression I was like some golden child. I had a lot of mistakes that I made too, dude. And if I don't know, like if I would have got caught doing some things, I don't even know, you know. So, but
you
yeah,
think that's a
we,
thing though? Because there's a lot of us doing a lot of stuff that would have been bad if we got
yeah,
caught. I was the one that got, I was awful at everything.
yeah. You always get caught.
I got
So,
caught everywhere, dude. It didn't matter if
I
it was
think
like fun at school.
I think the positive thing about that, like on trust in the process, is that now, especially being in law enforcement, I have such a more understanding of people, and like when they're in those situations, I can say like, "Hey, I've been there, and I understand what you're going through, but yeah, like this is what's going on." Try to be a more voice of reason. So actually being in that before has definitely helped me become, I think, a better law enforcement officer.
Yeah, and I guess moving out of the muck, my saving grace was people like you distancing yourself from me
Yeah.
because I felt that, you know? Like I remember it actually backfired. All my friends separated, my friends kind of pushed away, my family pushed away. I got worse.
Hmm.
I got deeper, which that's how the cycle works. You
Yeah.
know, when you get into the cycle of drugs and violence and just illegal activities and the people that fill that room, it everything works against you for a very long time.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say this system is inherently designed to imprison people and things like that. However, because of the way the system's built, if you get in there,
Yep. It's hard to get out.
it is very hard to get out.
Yep.
And it's a shame because young people, good people, make mistakes, put themselves in the system, get caught up,
Yeah,
and
and then they can't
then,
get jobs now, and it messes you up, dude.
yeah.
And I completely agree that our system has some flaws.
So, what do you think about us as high school kids now that you're a law enforcement officer and the things that you saw then versus the things that you saw now? Where's that line? What would you say to kids like us? What was the real dangers there? Like, how bad could that should have gone? And what would you say to yourself now or to the kids out there that are, where we were, or even being near it like you were? Because being near it's dangerous enough.
Yeah, I mean, like I just said, like I was there, so I know what it could lead to, and especially being on the other side, I know what the law side is now, so I know what the consequences could be. So if I was talking to us back then, I mean, we probably wouldn't listen anyways, but I still try to get through. Um, yeah, I would inform you what the potential consequences could be, and what you could lose, which is great. Like you could lose a lot from just something so simple that you think is not a big deal at the time. It can totally change your life. um, and yeah, but I understand, like I get out there with a lot of these kids, and they're just a lot of these days it's not as much as skateboarders from it, it's these wheelie kids riding their bikes doing wheelies out in the road, and it's cool to go approach a car and whip out of the way on one wheel, on your back wheel, until it is. So that's why I tell them, like, it's cool, I'm impressed, but I'm the guy that's got to respond when you're laying there, and I got to go tell your parents that you're gone because you wanted to ride your bike and do cool things for your friends.
Yeah.
Do wheelies, but do them somewhere safe. Don't
Yeah.
car.
No, and that's cool that you can be the voice of reason like that, because the kids do need an influence that's positive, that
Yeah.
refines but also connects. And that's something I think you're doing, which is really cool. And man, looking back, bro, some of the stuff, like even some of the stuff that we were behind, some of the fights that happened where people were getting jumped, bro, like people could have died very,
Yeah.
very easily. And there was multiple situations where I had my fingers in a pot where had someone died, even if I wasn't there, my hands were all over it, man. That would have
Mhm.
ruined my life. That would
Yep.
have ruined my life. And I'm just glad no one was like severely injured. Any of the
Mhm.
stuff that I did, because like I remember stories there's plenty of them where people did change lives forever. Someone did die. Someone did get completely changed forever. And I'm just thankful that like we got right there and got away. And
Yep.
now I'm doing everything I can to try to like use it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like there's people
So
that have still just stay stuck there. Like they
oh
don't
yeah.
get out of it. They've been swallowed by it, man. And I'm sure you have some people that come to mind that I'm thinking of too. But yeah, it's sad.
Well, let's spice it up, bro. Let's talk Nolly inward heels.
Dude, do you remember? I don't know if Brian's watching this, but Brian had that.
Brian Bowers.
Yeah, he had
Continue.
that set, that sketchy. What was it, like a
Three flat
five?
three,
Yeah,
right?
set in his backyard, and I nollie inward heeled it. And I don't think there's any footage of it, or there was. I don't know where it's
There
at
was
now.
definitely footage. We were filming, but it was probably on
Yeah,
a
dude, there's
mini
so
DV
many
tape.
cool videos that are like
Gone.
probably gone, sadly.
The Nolly inward heel
I
master.
don't think I
So
could do it now.
how is
Burial heels
skateboarding
probably
for
still.
us, dude? Can we just talk about how gangster of a youth we had
Dude,
with Tony
skateboarding.
Hawk peaking when we're in like
Yeah,
elementary
pro
to
skater
middle
and stuff.
school, and then skate came out while we're in high school
I remember the game Skate on the 360. Like what? Like
with the
this is
flick of the
skateboarding.
joystick
Yeah,
felt real.
yeah,
Like, tell me if you connect to this. Do you remember like Tony Hawk coming out and playing, especially some of the like character modes where like you become a pro skater and just feeling like that's
yeah.
real? Like
Like,
we're en
well,
route to
that was your
that.
goal, right? That was our goal. We're like, hey, sponsor me Tates, bro. Let's go,
We were making
go
them.
pro. And now you look at the kids skating today. Oh my god,
We'd have been
dude,
screwed.
they're insane.
We wouldn't even have made
Flick
tapes.
in, flick in, flick out. Backside. Yeah, we can go crazy, but like
What
they're
did it? Do you think it's
nuts.
the connectivity with social media that helps them
That helps
improve
it
so
grow.
rapidly?
Yeah, like because I think for us, like I had a Willie Santos teach me to skate tape. Like
Oh
that's what I
yeah.
learned from, dude. And like almost round three was one of my favorite videos growing up.
Yeah.
The little shacks in there, and yeah,
You know what I
and
talked about the other day? Do you remember Vera Ride Shop?
yeah,
What were they known for? What
the
did they always have? Like they had the best inventory of shoes.
oh,
They're
dude, we
Nikes,
went to the
dude.
Nike phase. I remember when I got those
I
like
went through the Nike
multicolored
phase.
Nike phases, like, and I tried them on. I was like, this isn't me, bro. And I think I gave them to you.
Yeah. I
They
was
were
all
like
about, remember the P
multicolored.
rods?
Yeah,
Dude, I'd wear the mid tops.
yeah,
Yep.
those weren't
Oh my
bad.
god, dude. So I can't remember the guy's
I was a
name.
Vans kid though, man. I was,
Yeah,
I was a Vans.
Maddie loves Vans. So Big Riggin, remember that? Via
Yes,
Ride
yeah.
Shop through that
I
contest.
wish I would have skated. I never skated it.
Yeah. You didn't do any comps, did you?
I did like a few. I wish I would have done more looking back, but
Ryan was a phenomenal skateboarder and still
I
is a
don't know
very talented
why I
skateboarder.
didn't. I think I was just at a point in that time in my life where I was just like, I don't know, it was kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, and it was funny
I never wanted to be
because
home. You remember that? Like
yeah,
I hated being home. Like
yeah.
I did not want to be there.
Well, we would.
So I
I
would
know.
escape anywhere I could.
Yeah, and like touching on that, like the father thing is tough. Yesterday was Father's Day. I did not talk to my father, and it
Same.
sucks.
I don't talk to my dad.
Because I've been going through it with my dad for a long time, and I love him to death, and it's very hard with Kaya. Like his granddaughter's here.
It's both my parents, dude. Like
Yeah,
they
because I
don't.
know you don't talk to your mother.
I've had issues. I tried to fix that bond. My dad's a whole nother story. It's really unfortunate when you, especially as their child, which I can't imagine doing that to my daughter, but your child tries to speak to you about the issues that you've dealt with growing up, and you just,
Turn a blind eye.
yeah, you make yourself the victim, instead of realizing what your kid is suffering through, um, which sucks. I wish that there was a better relationship there, but you can only do so much, and that the rest is on them. Um, but like my dad, uh, just a little story. Kind of went to go out when I was before I became law enforcement. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. My dad had was living in a huge house at the time, and I was like, oh, he's pretty successful. Went to work with him. He was doing roofing stuff. Flew over to like Arizona. I was like, yes, I'm going to learn the business. I'm going to make good money. Build success. All through him. Well, it completely fell apart there. And he started sleeping in, all this kind of stuff, and then I put two and two together that he was meeting with people downstairs of the hotel we were staying at, and they were doing heroin and stuff like that. So completely wrecked me, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I'm like stuck in Arizona, like on this work trip, and like I'm not going back with my dad. So I had to escape out of there. I had to work my way out of there and get back. And I haven't talked to him since.
How old were you?
I was like 18 at the time.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. You know, it impacts anybody.
Like, how do you do that to your kids?
I don't know. And so like my father has,
Yeah,
played
I
the
know your
victim
dad. Yeah,
victim card his whole life. And it's a shame cuz like he is the most Richter dude. He is the most badass, hardworking, passionate,
yeah,
fun guy. And he is so trapped by his demons. There
that's
is
it. Yeah,
no point in even trying to get past it. Um, but it's like he has no one and his health is in a questionable state. So in recent years we've like had to get involved, and we had this big push last year, and Maddie was pregnant, and we hadn't spoken a while. My dad went through this crazy transition where my great uncle passed away, and my dad was like living in a camper in his front yard, and then he had to find somewhere to go. And then my dad is like most men with problems. He's just this stern ass.
yeah.
And
Instead of fixing it, just
just
pushes them
wants to be
down.
stubborn and wants to
Yeah.
like wallow. So I'm like leaving for our baby moon. We know
Hmm.
Madison's pregnant. We're going to Hawaii. I'm not working.
Epic.
I'm not dealing. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not dealing with problems. And I'm so fed up at this point. I told my dad, like, yo, you're either letting me help you before I go, or you are screwed while I'm gone. And while I was gone, he just got into a horrible living situation, living in a storage unit. And so, anyways, he ends up living with us for like 6 months, which, if you asked me at any point in my life, if I thought that that was a possibility, it would be the most just absolutely while my wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
But here's the reason it went well. And we enjoyed it and we connected, and he came in with all this energy about change. And at the end of the 6 months, it was a nightmare getting him into an apartment, and then he started drinking, and then so all these things happened. And the reason I didn't reach out to him for Father's Day is because I'm just like, what's there? Is it just, hey, hi, sorry, yell, apologize, cool, love? How many days until the next time that happens again?
Right.
So it sucked. And the big thing for me that I keep telling Maddie is like, I'm not a big guy to say that's unfair or life isn't fair. I don't, kind of feel like that's just life and we have to like go past it. But yeah, this is kind of some bullshit.
Yep.
And having Kaya and knowing that he not only did that to me as his son, now he's missing out on being a grandfather, father. Like it's just, and it sucks, man.
Well, the pull positivity from that is that that makes you that much better of a father, because you know that you'll never do that to your child. Like that, I'll take that gift from my dad, is that he told me exactly how not to be.
Yeah, he gave the manuscript for what not to do.
Hmm.
Um,
I know
and
he has his own demons, but
we all do. And
yeah,
I had a post that I had saved recently. I decided to delete it and not post it because people kind of overread my stuff a little bit. I don't blame them. I have positioned
yeah, social
myself
media can
as,
be tough, bro.
It can't be. I put myself there.
Yeah.
So, but the concept was that blood is not blood. Blood is a shifting thing,
Hmm.
and some of the most important people in my life are not my blood, and some of the
Exactly.
people that are closest to me with the richest blood that matches mine are dangerous to me. I think that's important for people to understand,
Yep.
and I'm so fucking proud of you, bro.
Yeah.
Like for you to go through everything you went through, and even as kids, this is kind of where I want to tap back into the skateboarding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about
Let's
how that
go.
helped us.
Yeah.
How did
So
how did skateboarding help you as a young kid in the midst of this chaos?
yeah, I think skateboarding like held me down, dude. Because if I didn't have skateboarding, I don't know. Like it was an escape. You didn't think about any of your worries when you were skateboarding. You focused on your challenge. Like, okay, today we're gonna varial heel this set, right? That's the goal. Nothing else fucking matters, right? Like that's it. That's your life, dude.
I remember
We
so
skated
vividly.
everywhere. If I'd
Not
skated
just
like we did as a
skated.
kid, I'd die.
Well,
Like,
dude, we didn't just go skateboarding. We skated to the
yeah,
place
yeah.
to go
Well,
skateboarding.
when we first started, we didn't have cars yet, or anything like that.
We would
And then when we did
push
have cars, we would run out of gas. Remember that time you ran out of gas and you
which
whipped it?
one?
Yeah. Well, when I was with you, but you whipped it into the gas station, like
Jump
right
the
there.
curb?
Yeah, across the lanes of traffic. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna die.
I've told this
We made
story.
it.
I didn't know who was with me. I
Yes,
can't wait to
I
tell
was there,
Madison.
dude.
Yo, all right. So if you know
That's one of those ones
Melbourne,
I will never forget.
we are on Wickham Road coming up to Post at the BCC light, and we're running out of gas, and the car turns off.
Yeah,
The light is red, but no one's coming on the other side. With momentum, we jump the curb into the kangaroo
right to the pump.
to the pump.
Couldn't be any more perfect.
Engine
Except
off.
for also sketchy as hell.
And no power steering. Like
Yeah,
it's off. So I'm just like rowing the boat. Oh
dude.
my God, that's so funny.
Dalton was famous for going to E, dude. And like,
Dude,
but it was like you were scrappy. You're like, bro, you got to throw me $5 if we're gonna go today. Like,
yeah, I had no
and then I think
money.
gas at the time was like one of those peaks.
Yeah.
Whatever political shit was going on then, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That is so
that's
funny.
crazy. But anyways,
Yeah.
back we keep going off kind of skateboard.
Do you remember the
thing,
GoPeds?
but
Were you around when I
GoPeds?
had GoPeds? I think it was mostly a middle
GoPeds.
school thing. I think I got rid of them by then. There was this really popular thing. It was like a scooter with big ass tires, and it had basically a weed eater with a spindle.
Oh yeah,
And dude, they were dangerous. I crashed that
dude.
thing
The scooters these
bad.
days, dude. People are flying on those
Dude, have
things.
you seen the e-bikes? I just
Yeah,
saw an Instagram clip of a
people
man
are dying on those too. You
yeeting.
don't need to be careful, dude. Like,
Yo, right? Yo, did you see Gordon Ramsay's post?
yeah, dude. He like showed up. Yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah. That's funny. I saw that too. Yeah,
And we were really in the peak of skateboarding. So I guess to tie off the skateboarding thing, man, like what fun, bro. Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, weren't we
well,
making videos for Motions?
let's talk about MPI Productions. Like, what started MPI Productions?
For sure. So Ryan literally, weren't you in the car? Or
Yeah,
like
we were like,
you were like
we need
there
a
within
skate
the
team.
the
What's it
week
gonna
I
be?
made it. So
It was a
like
skate team. That was
I'm
what it started as.
because like Harry, my stepfather, had said no pun intended
Yeah,
and made a joke, and we kept saying NPI, NPI, and we thought we were so funny,
yeah,
and we'd say it in places that didn't make sense, and then we made our little skate team
yeah. I remember spray painting that big stupid ramp that we had.
on the ramp, on our
Yeah,
grip tape, on T-shirts, and I remember getting in trouble at Vieira for having like NPI written on a shirt one day because they thought it was like gang related.
no,
And what's funny
Vieira
is
was Vieira's its own story, I guess. But
now
Vieira,
now we run around hashtagging NPI gang, which is hilarious. But yeah, man, that was where it started. And so we had a tape VHS camcorder.
yep.
It was a Sony. We'd run around, and I don't know if anybody knows this. Maybe you don't even know this. In middle school, before I even met you,
Before
I
me.
would have my CD player, and I would play a song, and I would have my earbud, and I would hang it up to the microphone on the camcorder and hit
To get that
record and
music.
play at the same time. And then I would stop the recording and pause the music and then play it in because you know how a tape would play
Old school
through?
editing, bro.
And dude, it had like these blips in it. I was editing it like live. That was like a live switcher, bro.
And then Windows Media That
Oh my
was like the
god.
first editing.
Dude, even like getting tape footage to your computer, you'd have to like plug it in and like play it
You
in real
forget like how
time.
slow it
Oh my
was too.
gosh, dude, I've still got some tapes. I've got some of us. I'll pull it up.
Yeah.
So, crazy thing, Ryan Manning, people, you see this face right here? Insert clip. Boom.
API for life. We get to the top. The night of death.
Okay, so that has to be you at about 15 years old. You're in my bedroom at my mom's house.
God.
Britt Henderson is over. We're having a sleepover and we're goofing off, like throwing shit. And you turn the camera around, you look at it, and you say,
Oh, NPI.
NPI for life.
NPI for life. Yeah.
NPI for life. And that's nuts because I mean, I've got NPI all around me. It's how I live my
I
life.
remember one point you were thinking about changing your business name,
Oh my God.
and you were like taking opinions. I was like, dude,
I'll
keep it.
never forget this. I can't believe that was you. I thought it was Dane Holloway.
Keep it.
So
There's probably multiple
I
people.
came to
but
you.
just keep
Dane
it.
was not a fan either. Shout out Dane. I love you, buddy. I don't know if you watch these, but he was doing music and I was in like 21, 22 time frame. Okay. And he had this dream team thing going on. And I really ran with that. Like, if you remember the Wild Boys with Tyler
Mhm.
Rago, it's
Yep.
like Dream Team MPI. It was like almost like synonymous with each other. And I highly considered naming it Dream Team. And I had asked a couple of friends. I remember a couple people, you included, were like, hell
No,
no.
stick with it, bro.
And I had convinced myself that MPI didn't make sense because for anyone that doesn't know, NPI
Yeah,
Productions.
what is no pun intended? You know.
Yeah, it means
Production
no pun
company.
intended, which means nothing. We were making fun of my stepdad. Shout out Harry, the goat. I told him I owe him dividends for life. But yeah, it just stuck. And what's cool is the most unique brands with the coolest story. It comes from a place of momentary excitement where a thing just happens, some combustion happens, we create, and boom, there you
Well,
go. It's
stick
not
with it,
even the
yep.
plan.
That's
So
it, dude.
yeah, man. So skateboarding was a beautiful thing. We were in the prime of like making sponsor me tapes. And what's really cool about that is from a marketing perspective, right? From like an athlete, filmmaker. I mean, dude, I'm not even thinking about a production company or making money like this. I'm thinking I want to be a pro skateboarder at the time. But what I'm not understanding is I'm marketing me, I'm helping us market us with these videos. And I remember you were so good at skateboarding that I had kind of ditched my perspective of me making it to you making it and filming you.
Yeah.
And not even in a spoken way, but I remember like you were like the one that we like believed in. Brian Bowers ripped, but he was kind of like the cruisy guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but for you, like we were working all this stuff and it was like, man, like I don't know, I feel like maybe we could make you a pro or
Yeah, like
something.
at the time I was really progressing. Like I was kind of evolving myself with like Timmy Knuth and trying to learn from them because they were a little bit better than me at the time. And just really advancing myself. I wish I would have stuck with it and see where it would have went.
Yeah.
But life hits you.
Do you remember a kid named John that used to skate at Satellite Beach Skate Park in a giant black tee? And he would do.
Yeah, Lil Jon.
Do you remember what he would do? What his go-to trick was?
It was nollies, dude. He was
Nollie heels
yeah,
and
nollie
switch heels. Dude, he
was
would
good.
pop from flat, barely moving,
He was always
like
at the park.
a waist high
Yeah.
nollie heel. Yeah,
I
he
wonder where he's at
reminded
these
me
days,
of.
man.
I don't know. There was a rapper from Brevard back in the day, Young Calico.
Yeah, he was always the baggy black shirt.
Short hair.
Always a black shirt, I think, man.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
that classic look,
But
like
he had
that
like he was
2008
steezy,
hip hop
dude. I
look.
like the way he skated.
Dude, he looked like he didn't even
Super
try. His
steezy.
his arms wouldn't lift.
Yeah,
That
he
was
just
sick.
yeah.
Yo, we're going to Satellite Beach Skate Park today.
Yeah.
Little throwback sesh.
Yeah. That'll be
We'll have to make a little edit. We'll bring a camera up there and get some
I'm
clips.
gonna vlog it too. I'll vlog it for the other channel. I have 2 channels. I guess we can.
Yeah.
that in
So
here.
what do you got? How can some people follow you? What are your
So
channels?
obviously you've seen my Just That Officer stuff. That's police related things. I originally started that page. It's like also YouTube, but I've done with YouTube because I am tired of surrounding myself and bodying law enforcement too much. It's became overwhelming. But I started doing the skateboard giveaways. And sorry to jump. I don't know. You probably have that on a question on here, but
Well, let's bridge into that.
yeah,
So Ryan
yeah,
is a police officer for the city of St. Cloud.
yeah.
But you are also an avid skateboarder and you released at least one video where you pulled up to the park and you blessed some kids with some skateboards.
Yeah.
And it was a cool concept. You kind of like looked like maybe you were the scary cop and
Yeah.
you were looking for the guy with the most messed up board. You did like a kickflip
Yeah.
contest. So talk to me about that because that is such a unique way for you to still work in the law enforcement realm but bring some skate and Ryan Manning into it.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I started my attention like helping other law enforcement officers, and then I saw somebody else. There's a guy named Kickflips and Donuts. Shout out to him, Zach. Gave away a skateboard like that. He's a law enforcement officer, and I was like, dude, I was like that. I was looking for something that like was a good way to connect with the community because there's so much negative context around law enforcement, dude. It's so bad, and I was like, I want to show people that we're out here and we're here to support you. So I bought some boards, and then I started giving them away, dude. I started just asking people to do a kickflip, the traditional do a kickflip, get a
Did
deck
anybody
kind of thing.
support you or were you like
So there was a
as far as the
shop.
original idea?
Yeah, there was a shop in town that I didn't even know was there. It was called like Lost Crew, which is fortunately gone now. I didn't even know it was there, which is disappointing, but I guess it wasn't marketed well. But I went there and I said, hey, dude, I want to give away skateboards. Can you hook me up a little bit? So he discounted a little bit. Spent like $200. And shout out to my buddy Nick, was also an officer there. He's like, I'll match you. So he matched me with the $200 to get these boards. And yeah, so I got him from there. That's kind of how it started. And then since then, I bought a couple other ones from through like Primitive, and then Primitive saw that and hooked it up, dude. They had like sent like 20 boards, but yeah, I just went out in the streets. If I'd see some kids skating, I'd go to the park, like, do a kick flip, things like that, and it kind of just evolved from there. We had a really poor skate park. It was there for years, and we finally got a new one, which is great. But yeah, it just kind of trickled from there, and like it blasted on social media, and like I was like, okay, this is cool. Like this is something positive. Let's keep it going. So I've been keep going, and people have been very supportive. People have donated, which has been epic because boards aren't cheap. Back in the day, they were like $40 for like a blank. Now they're like 60, 65.
Oh,
Yeah. And I built out a board because I was getting back into it. I was like, I need a new board. I want to go wider. And it was like $200. I was like, God dang, dude. Like skateboarding is expensive. Um, so to be able to hook these kids up in the community with a deck. One of my favorite ones is probably the one that you're talking about, but like I pull up to this kid he's picking up his sister from school. And I've seen him a few times because I work the school zones for speed enforcement all the time. Um, but I see him, with a skateboard and it's pretty thrashed. So I call him over and like, as a kid, you're like, oh, okay. I was like, let me see that, dude. It's like, oh, that's pretty fast. I'm like, dude, we're gonna have to take this board. And he's like, what? Like, like what? So confused. So I go to the back of the car and I whip out a new one and I give him a new deck and stuff like that. And just really cool to come full circle from being a skateboarder to getting in law enforcement and then like bringing that back around in my career. It's so epic just to give people things, dude. Like I just recently this Saturday went out to Central Florida Skate Park, paid for 5 people to get in, first 5 people to show up, and then 2 boards, gave away 2 boards. And I purchased them from the shop to support the place, and that makes me happy, dude. That
that's
makes me
so
happy to
dope,
get back.
bro. Do you have like an active link or anything where people can donate towards
Yeah,
the?
so if you just that officer Instagram, that's where I'm mostly active on that. If you go to the link, there's a link tree there, and it has that on there. That's
All right,
Venmo.
y'all get on there. I'm hopping on today.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
anything
throw a
helps.
board on
It
there.
absolutely goes towards new
That's
skateboards.
awesome.
I
We're gonna
brought
get
some
it.
today too, so if there's a kid at the park, we'll hook them up.
Let's
So,
go. That's awesome, bro.
but yeah,
That's really cool, man. And that's an amazing way for you to still participate in law enforcement with your content.
yeah,
And I think it's cool that you identified what you might not want to focus on. It is an overwhelming amount of negativity in
yeah.
certain realms.
It sucks because I feel like I have a lot to offer. Like I teach a lot at the agency, um, and I feel like I have a lot to offer into that law enforcement world, and that's what I started with. I was like, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I don't know what the subject should be. So I was like, well, I know a lot about law enforcement, so let me do that. And I was getting to the point where I was getting burnout really fast because I would work in the field, teach in the field, and then I would come home and have to put my kid to bed, and it's like 8 o'clock, and I have to go in front of a camera and talk about a shitty incident to like justify the reasoning that has happened, right? And I was just like, dude, I, I I'm burnt out. Like I'm not even happy talking about it on camera. So why do it anymore? And then the skateboarding thing took off. So I was like, okay, well, I'll stick with that. Let's do that. That's positive. I love it. And then I started another YouTube channel doing what I really like to do, which is like getting outdoors and having fun. I call that's Rye Wonders. So that's kind of fresh, but I get a lot more joy out of that. So, but
Good for you, bro.
yeah,
That's awesome, bro.
yeah,
I always tell people, imagine a old school fancy scale, one of those metal guys, all the
yeah,
gold and stuff. You got your job, which is, I guess it would be on this end. It would be everything you have, and it's how you provide for yourself. And up there's your dream, is that other stuff. And
mm,
this doesn't have to be instantaneous. You just take a little bit out, take a little bit out, move it over. And that's kind of what it seems like you're doing. You're
yeah,
still working as a police officer daily, doing your job, providing the community, but you're planting these seeds and you're kind of growing this social
yeah.
network that
It's
work hands in hands, but it's kind of different on its own,
yeah,
its own way.
it's still hard, like being a full-time employee and trying to do like a side hustle can be exhausting.
For sure.
Um, but I do a lot of cool things sometimes, and I think it needs to be shared, and I enjoy it. And
Yeah, especially with kids.
watching my kid grow up and be able to look back at those videos, that makes me happy. If I look back at the Just That Officer YouTube videos talking about some incident or some gear,
Yeah.
I could care less, dude.
I told Maddie about that. That's why I was like, I'm prioritizing my passion projects
Yeah.
and my vlogs. So yesterday, the crew came through to edit, and I got up at like 4:45. Did logistical stuff for like an hour, and then did like almost an hour and a half, 2 hours of like vlog editing. And by the time they got here 8:30, I can jump into all that other stuff. Because what I usually do is work till I'm burnt out, and then I always back burner my personal work. It just
Yeah.
never gets done.
Yeah.
And I was just saying, like, I'm gonna regret not doing that and having it archived, because then I'll be like, oh, look at all the client work I did. But right now, if I were to sit down and show you a whole bunch of videos, 80% of them are going to be my vlogs and my adventures and the stuff I'm passionate
I
about.
love those videos too. I love the Mad Adventures. Those are
Yeah,
sick.
man. So we've got a bunch, and I'm finally prioritizing working on them, and it's all about that balance.
Yeah.
So
I'll say the biggest thing is overcoming that stupid voice in your head that worries about everybody else.
yeah,
That's what took me so long to start posting content and stuff, is like I cared so much about what other people think that don't like I still struggle with that, but just do what you want to do, man.
yeah,
Like
for sure.
proceed.
And you are your greatest critic.
Yeah, definitely, dude. I'm very hard on myself.
And I was lucky because I always tell people start young, because when I started, I was 20, 21. Dude, I was so arrogantly confident, but it was healthy, bro. Like, you couldn't tell me shit. You
Yeah.
could not tell me anything. And here's why. I had lost everything that I loved.
Yeah.
My high school girlfriend at the time, Jessica, when we broke up, I remember that was like devastating. And that was kind of the last straw for me that kind of shifted me over, because that girl went through hell with me. Everybody did. I lost my friends. My mom kicked me out. I lived in my car. And so when my mom let me back in and I got out of this bad
Shout out to
relationship,
your mom. She's awesome.
my mom's go. I love my mom, and she took care of all of us,
She
all
did.
my friends. To this day, bro, she's JD calls her Mama D,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, man, just all of that catalyzed into me being free now. Now I'm like, it was like I had nothing to lose and everything to gain. I felt so rich as this broke but not in trouble young man.
Right.
I don't know how else to explain it, dude. And then I meet Corey Howell, and I'm just connecting these dots. And like, I've told the stories, but I don't know if I've talked about the excitement I felt. It was like I struck gold, and every time I turned around to tell someone, I'd find a different type of gold. And shit, dude, for 5 years, 6 years, I
Took
didn't
off.
even look back. And
Yeah.
then once I, like, just when stuff started to get big, started to kind of have to like monitor it a little bit. I was like, ooh, this is getting tricky. And then my relationship got thicker and we got really busy. And then my relationship ended. And then I had to go through the hurdles of healing and finding myself and then getting back on the horse with my business. And then I had to go through the course of meeting a new woman and going through that. And then COVID hits and
Crazy what decisions had to be made for you to meet your wife, right?
oh my
The
dude,
same thing with me. Like if those bad things didn't happen to me that I just talked about earlier,
wouldn't have her.
and bringing me back to St. Cloud, I
Yep.
never would have met my wife.
And that is why I cherish challenges, because one of the biggest things people have twisted is that hurdles are bad. Like people like, man, I want a relationship like that. It came from a place of hell.
Yeah.
It came from the purest form of trauma to the point that I was literally telling the people around me, screw this, I quit. And I meant it. I meant it. I had no passion left in me. And that bottom of the barrel, it's like starving yourself to death. You're on like the last days of life, and then it changes. You'll never forget what it was like to be alone and dying on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell my wife that to this day. Um, it doesn't bother me, but I will never ever forget what it felt like, and it
Mm-hmm.
gives me the most immense gratitude now. And so it's been very cool, bro. Between the business, not just because I'm passionate about it, but I tell people all the time, I it's not the attention on me, it's
Yeah.
the attention on it. It's the excitement. And when people come up to us, it's so rare. It's not usually like, oh, you guys are so cool. It's like, man, I love what you guys do. I follow you and your wife. You guys just inspire me. Like that, if I'm going to be known for anything,
That's the reward. Yeah.
I want it to be that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, looking back on like what matters, right? It's not the cool commercials that made the most revenue. It's like the things that people are like, man, that inspired me to get started to do my own thing or
So one of my favorite
whatever.
things is what's that saying that some people in your life for seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been tough, dude. You know, I've had to accept that in a lot of ways. And that was a big part of my maturing, was realizing that it's okay for people to not like you and it's okay for people to not be in your life forever. And that was a hard pill to swallow. And part of my problems was that I was trying to force, not even force people to like me, but trying to force myself to make everyone like me or something. And that was a traumatizing experience, because basically if a single person didn't like a single thing about me, even just one, I made it this massive entity crisis.
Yeah.
And that was bad, because it actually kind of like backfires and then you start acting different and then you're making real problems. And so, yeah, I'm just kind of like, it's easy to count what you don't have. But if you just stop and focus on what you do have, it's probably going to outnumber it
Yeah.
by
It's
a
a
lot.
hard thing to do. It is, because you're always wanting more out of life, and I'm trying to be better at that too. Like I'm always chasing the next thing, but it's like, dude, just stop.
Yeah.
Look what you have. You know,
It's
it's
super
amazing if you think about it.
contradicting.
Like where we came from. Look around, dude.
Yeah.
This is epic.
It's very contradicting.
Yeah.
How do you be the man that every woman wants, that's out there getting it and looking good and making something for himself, but also be the family man that's home and on time? You know what I mean? How do you be the humble, creative, connected artist, but also the goat, the biggest that's trying? And so for me, it's listening to what you want. And I have done podcasts with people like my buddy David Moorfield, where he was like, to my face, he's like, you crazy. I would never ever pursue what you do. And he's a filmmaker. And I think that's the thing, is I've realized there's no right or wrong. You know, it's
Yeah.
about doing what makes you happy. Because something that makes me happy would make someone else probably hate their life.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to kind of weigh the pros, weigh the cons. What do you want? And I'm at a point now where I am prioritizing goals better and more goals are coming to life.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also drawing the line and saying, only X number of things can happen this month or this day, or this group of things are happening.
Yeah.
And those other things, whatever. So, you know, obviously my wife, my child.
Yeah, you
A
got
lot of
the
those
little
things are.
peanut in the life now, dude.
Dude, she's messing everything up.
It's just messing
She's
everything up.
messing everything
Yeah.
up, bro. I'm like, I don't want to go places as much,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you don't, you did. I have no desire to go out at all. Like, I don't do that anymore. I hardly ever drink unless it's like with my in laws and stuff like that, like, or on a cruise. I have no desire. I want to be home,
it's just
be with the
crazy
family.
to me what it does. Very crazy to me, and I've connected with so many dads. Like even in like short little moments, the dad advice that some of these guys have put on me, bro. Oh my god, I love it. At ESPN, it's all guys older than me.
Hmm.
So like a big group of them always are like, all right, show me the newest, what's the newest picture with the baby girl, and they're living vicariously through me. They are revisiting the excitement with their children through me, and that's a special thing.
Yeah, like it gets hard sometimes, and you, like, let's say like going to bed for her, we'll get like this big struggle, and I'm like, why? Like, she wants to spend a little bit more time with you, take more time, because you're like, oh, this is me time now.
Yeah.
Like, this is me and mom time to chill out. But your daughter is not wanting to go to bed. It's just like, but you don't get time back. So you
Hmm.
stop for a second. Okay, let's spend a little more time. Let's read one more book, because you don't get it back. And that's something that strikes such a chord with me, is that time you do not get back, and it goes so fast.
Yeah. Catching those moments in the moment is one of the hardest things in life. That can come down to love, anger, any of the emotions we get. You know what I mean? It's so hard to catch yourself in that. And even last night, giving her bath, I catch myself and constantly giving myself those thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's so funny you say that because I was like thinking about like doing a Father's Day live yesterday and ended up not doing it. And I was like, well, what could I talk about? And I was literally what I narrowed it down to is fatherhood is realizing how selfish you are.
Yeah.
And I thought about how if you have no kids, I mean, business, dude, who really gives a shit? That's up to you.
Hmm.
Bigger, smaller, who really cares? Who cares if I pour less into MPI? As long as it's doing what it should do, who really cares? It's
Right.
no one but your kid. You pour 1/2 of 1 ounce less into them. That's on you.
Yeah. It's
And you
like,
could have given that to them. And
right.
I think about that. And
Like,
it's like, I'm very big about me time. I believe you cannot pour from an empty cup. But I've realized what I want is going to change, knowing
yeah.
what's best.
Remember individual time too. I'll give you that pointer as well. Like, we'll do days where I myself just take my daughter somewhere, so you
Yeah,
get that one-on-one time, because a lot
we
of
do.
times we're together a lot.
We do
Um,
Tuesdays, and we did it as a thing just for Maddie. Not just for Maddie, but
yeah.
she wanted to go back to work, and she does 1 day a week.
Hmm.
But I remember after like week 2, I was like, even if you come home full time, I'm keeping my Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's good to keep like a set date, and like, nobody bother me. It's this time.
Yeah,
Like right now, it's hard because, like I told you earlier, my family's away. They're in upstate because my wife works remote, so she's up with the in-laws, and that's like, it's like help with daycare,
yeah,
what, during the summertime when she's not in school. But it's hard on me. Like, you would think, like, in your younger days, like, oh, dude, you're away from the family. Like, it's cool. Like, you get all this free time to yourself. But it's
yeah.
hard, dude.
4 weeks is a long time without your kids,
Yeah, it's hard because
and
that's a period of time where they grow. You miss things. She lost another tooth while she was up there, and I wasn't there.
yeah, and a
The
month
little things,
is a
dude.
long time in kid world. The older they get, the more the time slows a little bit with the changes.
Yeah.
But like that's what hit me is like, I'd go on these 4 day trips for ESPN and something would change.
I don't know how people in the military do it, dude.
Me and Maddie talk about it, and I work very hard to communicate with my wife and not make everything an emotional reaction and just talk things out. And I'm like, look, all we know is us. All we know is our balance. But I also want to reflect and say, look at what other people have to put in to have this kind of time together. Like, for sure, babe, I'd love to have that weekend off. But like, look how much we have.
Yeah.
And I do skip stuff. I had to skip 2 fights in a row for ESPN, and they asked me about it, and I said it was a situational setup where I had two basically non-negotiable things back to back. Very unlikely to happen often, and they were cool. And they said the same thing I would tell my staff. They're like, "Well, as much as we can help it, try not to, but for those moments, family."
Yeah,
And I loved that because that
yeah,
meant they got it.
yeah. That's what sucks about law enforcement is there's like if you're scheduled to work, you got to be there.
Yeah,
I'm really fortunate to be in the position I'm in now because I have a Tuesday through Friday 10-hour shift schedule. So that's been amazing on family time. But before it was 12-hour shifts, and we would shift every 4 months to nights and days back and forth, and that gets hard.
yeah.
Um, your sleep schedule's all off. You know, your kid will try to wake you up early in the morning, but you're tired. It gets messy. So yeah, being in that field sucks too. Having to try to balance that for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's transition to some closing stuff here. The whole police officer journey. I know you said that you were trying to figure out what was next. I remember that same thing, and you're like, maybe the military, and then you drove by.
Yeah,
Um,
I was actually looked at Full Sail that same day because I was looking at maybe being a graphic designer because I liked art at the time. Like, well, I still like art, but I don't do it anymore. Um, yeah, so I went there and I was like, this is, I'm not sure. And it's super expensive, which I'm so glad I didn't do it because I'd probably still be paying that off. But we went by Valencia to look at some more options of like what could maybe I'd be interested in. And that's when I drove past it and I was like, that's what I want to do. I said, that's exciting and you'll get to help some people. And that's kind of what I wanted to go to the military. I wanted to serve in some way and to do something that's not a desk job. And I was like, if I do graphic design, I'm just gonna be sitting at a desk all day. So yeah, so that was it, man. I went to the academy. I actually love the academy because I actually maybe it's sick, I don't know, but like I love being pushed um, to be better, and that pushed me, man. I was in the greatest shape of my life in the academy. I could run forever. I could do like hundreds of burpees. I mean, now I can't, but like that was amazing. And then I had no idea what I was doing. I went into law enforcement very blind. Um,
yeah, I was gonna ask, what was that transition like from civilian life into becoming an officer,
yeah,
and what were those challenges?
yeah. So yeah, like I said, I went into a blind. There's an orientation phase where they show you and they show you the seriousness of the job. But I knew it was what I wanted to do, what I needed to do. But yeah, transitioning from a civilian life to that is it's a totally different world, and it's you don't understand it till you're in it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I think going back, like you don't understand what officers are trying to do and things like that. So once you get in it, you do. And yeah, so that was a process of going full time academy and then getting full time in the law enforcement and learning through those stages. Man, it humbles you in a lot of ways. It teaches you a lot, and I'm very grateful for the experiences I had. And then there's unfortunate things that you come across and see that will stick with you forever.
Yeah.
And that part of law enforcement is very hard because you'll never get that stuff out of your head. Um, but it's a balance, and we call it the switch. Like when you get home, you switch that stuff off, and you leave that there, and you come home and you be with your family. And
So, what motivates you daily given the cons? You see these things, you experience these things, and even off the job, the social media feedback
yeah,
on your job, the
that's why I
societal.
stay out of the comments section
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is like
because you can't.
most of it's bullshit,
Yeah,
and if you don't absorb it, it's not real,
yeah,
and it's kind of like wanting to go see Chernobyl for shits and giggles. It's like there's no value. Don't even look over there because it's not worth everything that's going to come with it.
yeah,
And so I would say that's almost applicable for anything with when it comes to social media.
yeah. It's a
If you're just
cesspool.
absorbing bad, it's not going to be good for you. So yeah, what keeps you going through all that? It's been 11 years now.
Yeah, I know. It's like I said, time flies by pretty fast. Um, the positive things keep me going, man. when you get a good investigation. So I'm a traffic homicide investigator. When I can bring peace to that family, that and justice, that feels good.
Yeah.
And when I can help especially like the kids, man, um, being out there and being able to help kids get out of the poor situations, that's rewarding. And being able to stop things from happening. And the negative thing is knowing that you can't always stop things from happening. You
Yeah.
wish you could be in the right spot. And then being in this world where like you see a lot of negative things and you want to fix it all, but you can't. Like you can't fix every law enforcement officer. There's bad apples out there,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate. And there's a lot of us out there that don't want to be associated with that at all. And unfortunately, that's what comes with the job. Um, yeah,
That's why you
but
just got to outshine it though. And
you got to
that's
know
the
your
thing with
why.
life.
Why do you do it? So,
Yeah. You can't let your why change because there's bad people,
yeah.
you know?
Because you care, man. You care about community, man. You care about keeping people safe. So
Yeah,
that's why I do it.
on a high and a low. I guess let's start on the low. What was an example of one of those days that really challenged you and potentially made you, I don't want to say question what you do, but just, really challenged you?
Jeez.
And you don't have to get significantly detailed about what necessarily it was, but just about what made you process it in a way that was just tough for you.
I almost shot somebody once. That was pretty wild. Um, and I didn't, and I could have. I absolutely could have. He had brandished a firearm and kind of went towards it enough to where it would already been justified, but something kept me from doing it, and I'm glad that it did because now I don't have to live with that, and that guy's still alive. It was a kind of a mental breakdown episode kind of thing. He didn't even have the gun loaded correctly, but
Were
besides
you
the point.
in fear for your life at the moment?
Yeah, it was pretty wild, man. Like, um, I didn't even recall how like you can watch the body cam back and like how fast I drew down on this guy, and my partner was like me to you to him when he did that, and that's why I was like, I'm about to shoot this guy.
Yeah. Because
Um,
it's not just your life, it's your partner.
yeah, so it was like when I tell you finger on the trigger, close.
Do you think you would take more risk with a violent suspect if it was just you? Meaning push the limit of patience a little bit longer versus your partner being closer than you are? You're almost having to act on behalf of your
Yeah,
partner.
like I'd say if I was in my partner's position, it might have happened. But since I was a little bit off to the side, I don't know, man. It's like, hindsight's 2020. You never know what you're gonna do in a situation like that.
And you're also trying to process this and make this
Yeah, you're trying to
decision.
process everything that's going on and like, okay, what do I need to do here? And that's the craziest part about law enforcement is we're put in the worst situations and have to process so quickly.
And make the right decision.
Yeah, so like you see these incidents where like it's so easy to be on the outside and criticize these cops for what they did, but imagine like running down a dark alley after somebody in the sketchiest area where people are known to shoot each other, and somebody reaches for their waistband when they're resisting you. Imagine what's going through your head, dude.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to die. I don't want to die. I want to go home to my family. So you know that's what happens in those situations. Now, there's no doubt there's situations such as George Floyd, for example, that are terrible. And there was one recently that they literally beat the kid to death, which sickens me, dude. It absolutely sickens me that this is still happening
It's
in law
crazy
enforcement.
to me that it happens with the just amount of involvement from people worldwide. We all have eyes in a sense of capturing it now.
Yeah.
And right or wrong in their head, how crazy can you be to do it at all in this day and age?
Yep.
It's crazy to me.
Yep. And the
That's
sad
one
thing is like
thing.
some situations will get twisted, like they'll only show part of the situation, things like that.
Yeah,
That's what social media like gets things
they
really
love to
messed
do
up.
that.
But there's some
And
that are legit, and
yeah,
it's scary, dude.
so
But
flip
it's the
side of
human
that,
factor, man.
what's one of those days that counteracts that? That is
Yeah.
like, this is why I'm here. This triumph outweighs a million bad days.
I mean, there's been like numerous things, but like I don't know, like getting for one, given the boards the kids has been epic. Like that's been a true like bringing back to the community aspect of law enforcement. Like that's what you're there for. Like you're there to show that you're here for them. You're here for these kids instead of just being out there in a negative context, tackling people and things like that. But also when you get to like certain situations where kids are being mistreated by who's supposed to be their parents,
Yeah.
and you get to it's a you get to pull them away from that situation, which is sad because now they're pulled away from the parents. But they're in such bad shape there. Like you get them out of that situation. Um, I don't know, man. Like there's a lot of different things, dude. It's hard to say, but
No, man, that's just it's cool getting to hear your thoughts and kind of pick your brain a little bit.
yeah.
And gotta thank my friend Chat GPT for providing such fantastic questions for today.
Oh, nice.
Um, I love this because I preach to people to use ChatGPT because it has enabled me as a business owner and a thinker in so many ways.
Yeah, that's
And
cool, man.
I have things that I'm good at, and I have things that I'm okay at, and I have things that just eat my time up. So, example, I have this beautiful multi-page script designed precisely for the length that I wanted. I told it what topics I wanted. I used my talk to text to give it a brief description of our history,
Yeah,
and it went and it polished it up. And I went and hung out with my kid for 20, 30 minutes before you got here, opposed to sitting there typing for an
saving
hour.
time, dude.
Telling
Time
you, bro,
matters.
smarter, not harder. So this is fun. We're about to wrap it up, but I've got a couple questions. And now I want to encourage you guys. I don't do this, but if you have any questions for Ryan about law enforcement, skateboarding, his career, these hurdles that we're discussing, please leave these comments. Drop us a message. We'll get them in his
Yeah,
hand.
I'm
And
on there. I'll answer.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's cool because this is I'm realizing it's less about me than it is about me interacting with these really rad people.
No,
And
it's been cool to go back and touch base, dude.
yeah, it's good.
It's been
I
cool.
told you, man. I
The
love
day's
doing
not over,
this.
man. We're gonna go sesh, and
Yeah,
I'm
and we're gonna hit the
stoked.
Kind Diegos too. I'm so stoked.
My
I've got
wife's gonna be jealous
some.
about that one.
Yeah, she's don't tell her. I've got some example questions here, which this should be fun just because they're kind of random from throughout the thing. So, what is your favorite memory from our high school days?
Oh, dude. Favorite memory from high school days.
Which, before you even answer that, dude, so cool that you
What's your
brought up.
favorite memory from high school days?
Oh man, well, like
I'm gonna flip the
the
script.
era. So I'm gonna give you an era, not a particular day. But I
Okay.
do remember
Yeah, yeah.
one day just going to your house to like get snacks. I remember playing video games in your room, Rainbow Six. You introduced me to Rainbow Six,
It's funny because
and
I was gonna say going to your house, dude. Because we used to go to your house,
we
fucking
lived at my house.
chow on cereal, dude, and
We did. My house
check
was
the
the
surf
hangout.
report, watch the weather, like when
But
storms
man,
were
just
coming, like that
the
stuff.
wake up, get together,
Yeah.
skate
Where are we
down to
going to skate
Publix,
today?
go skate the loading
Yeah.
dock.
Yep.
But
That's the stuff I miss, man. That's like the stuff where like you don't have those crazy responsibilities yet.
yeah.
You're like in that in between, and like I don't know, dude. Life was pretty cool.
Do you remember when we got jobs at the Sunnies for the
Dude,
soft
oh, okay.
opening?
Sunny story, dude. You got a job at Sunny's, and Dalton's like, "Yo, dude, just come on, man. They're doing like this hiring thing. Like they had already like put you in, and I wasn't even on a list, dude. I just showed up, and I got the job. I got like a busboy job. I hated that damn job, dude. I hated it, and I got
So
fired because I missed schedule. I think it was twisted. I think
listen,
they screwed me, but
no, that you listen. You might not remember. I do. We get the job, and the restaurant's not open, so everybody's in training for like a week, and they had like multiple shifts. I called out of at least one, and I remember I was at Chase Schneider's house, and I was like, "Yeah, sick." And they were like, "Do you got to bring a doctor's note?" So I didn't get one, and they fired me.
yeah,
Like before they even opened. Like I went to like a couple of the shifts, and that was it. You got the job through me, and you ended up like staying for the job, right?
yeah. I stayed
So
a little bit.
you worked there for I think about
It
2
wasn't
weeks,
long, yeah.
right? I couldn't tell my mom I got fired, so I went to work with my Sonny's t-shirt for 2 weeks, dude. And I would go to Publix and skate the loading dock. And I don't know if you remember this. You got to remember this, dude. I was behind Publix, and I think Noble and a bunch of people are there, and we're skating that blue
Is that the
thing
day
in
we
the
got kicked
loading
out of
dock.
there?
You showed up in your Sunny shirt because you got let go at work. You're like, dude, I got fired.
I was so pissed about that.
And then we go get our checks, and they were switched. They gave me yours, and it was like fat. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna deposit
It's
this
like a-
thing before they catch it.
Yeah.
And then you went up and you're like, bruh, what's this
Yeah.
$13 check?
Yeah,
And
what
they
is
were
this
like,
shit?
oh man, that was for Dalton's, but looks like he already deposited the other one. And then they
Yeah.
gave you the difference.
Yeah, it was. I hate cleaning up.
It was
Dude, props to
terrible.
people who clean up after people, especially like Sunnies.
Yeah,
People suck, dude.
that's a
like,
gnarly place.
oh my gosh.
That was, I'm glad
I think
we had
everybody
that
should work in
question.
a restaurant. Just work in a restaurant your first job because you
might
will
cry.
respect the waitresses and waiters and yeah, dude, it sucked. I'm so glad. And tucking my shirt into blue jeans, bro,
Oh my gosh,
was
the
not my
worst.
vibe.
No.
And I hated it, dude.
Blue jeans with the
I
tuck.
hated it.
How do you think your past experiences have influenced your approach to policing?
Yeah, I think we did touch on this a little bit, but like I've seen the other side. I've been on the other side. I remember driving down the road and be like, "What the hell are you looking at?" Like at cops. But
Yeah.
now I'm the guy like looking in the cars, like you wearing your seatbelt, dude. Like you know,
Yeah.
like I get it now. I understand that side. So it definitely helps to know that and
Yeah.
bring that to when I talk to people. So I teach de-escalation at the agency because I believe in it so much. I've been there 11 years and I have never tased somebody. I've never shot anybody. I've been close. I talked about that. But I've used those as de-escalation techniques. Like I've taken them out, and as like a taser, like a warning thing. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're gonna get tased. Like this sucks. But like if anybody in law enforcement is watching this, but period, like if you just explain to people what is happening, you will get a better outcome.
For sure.
Like this is what's gonna happen if you don't comply. But here's what we could do if you do.
Which is classic negotiation techniques.
You just talk to people, dude.
Yeah.
Just get down to their level, man. Like no matter who it is, like it could be a real POS, like they did something really bad.
Yeah.
But you just gotta reason with them. You gotta talk.
Do you have any trouble keeping your emotion out of the equation when you see someone that's a total piece of shit that just like beat their wife or did something absolutely terrible?
Yeah, I mean, like that's part of law enforcement. That's the hard part, like that you have to be able to handle, or you shouldn't be there.
Like the cops that catch the murderer.
Well, I'll give you an example of a family who was so annoyed with their kid crying that they poured boiling hot water on this child. And when you tell,
Did you respond to this?
yeah, that heart was so hard to sit next to those people and talk to them after you know that.
Yeah.
Like that's hard, but you keep it in, dude.
Yeah.
You have
And
to.
I guess that's just maturing because you know that your emotional outcome, it doesn't fix
What's
it.
it gonna do? Yeah.
And that was my problem as a young man.
Except get you in trouble.
I was so convinced
Yeah.
that blood must have blood.
You wanted to fight everybody, bro.
Like every time someone did anything to me, I felt that I had to like justify it.
Yeah.
And, I put myself in serious situations. Like Brian Bowers was one of our best friends, and we got into some stupid shit. It was definitely over like a girl or he said, she said. And Brian was doing what most high school kids would do. He was barking back, right? And like the thing that pissed me off when we were in high school was that like because I put myself into such turbulent water, people like made it worse. It's like they thought it was fun. It
Yeah.
was like people liked to rock the boat, and some of the people that
I
were
didn't like that either.
some of the people that were in my
That's why
own
I stayed away.
camp were
Yeah.
like encouraging me to get into these fights and these violent interactions. And I remember one night in particular, this was hands down the craziest, scariest thing, that one of those nights that sits with me where I think about someone could have died. One of my best friends, Keith, we went over to a house party at kind of like a renowned drug dealer's house. But he was kind of like a misto man. He sold weight. He wasn't really like the guy that I would go see.
Mhm.
And he had this big party. It was this giant house by the river, had a fucking band, like all kinds of stuff. So we go over there, and I remember before we went to a apartment, like the Savannahs or something, and a couple people that were from like the other party or like the other side had showed up, and I was really nervous because I was alone, and like they acted crazy cool, and it was like they could have got me right there in that apartment, which I'll still to this day I don't understand. It's not like I had more stuff on me at the house party. So we get to the house party and it's popping. There's like 500 people and I'm back to a pool, shoulder to shoulder. There's music, there's lights, and I get surrounded by 3 or 4 people and they got like my back to the pool and they want my stuff. They want to run all my shit. And they grab my chain and I like grabbed his hand and he like ganked it and broke it, but I actually got it back and legit like dropped to my hands and knees as they're like swinging at me and went under dude and run through the crowd. And I climb up on the fence and jump in the front yard and lay in a bush. And dude, like I don't know, 6 people, 8 people all come looking for me and they run by me. And so they're like out front. I get back on this fence and I'm walking up. Do you know where the old DMV is on US 1? There's like that concrete wall. I
Mm-hmm.
jumped that concrete wall and I jacked my knee up on the landing, crossed the street, and I call Keith. I'm like, bring your gun up here. Like, and he's like at home.
Yeah.
And like, actually, he must not have been at the party because he was at home. So he's like, no, I'm not bringing my mom's gun up. You're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, dude, I don't know what I thought. Again, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's scary. I'm like, yeah, bring your gun up here. And one of my friends, remember James Geist?
Yep.
So he comes across the street and I'm telling him what happened. And I'm like roughed up from the bush, but no one did anything to me. And then these guys come walking behind the DMV. Now we're behind the DMV in the dark. We're not even at the party anymore. And they walk up, and I remember looking at James. I'm like, yo, I'm going to run. And I run, and they literally stick James, start jumping him. I jump over a fence, and it's like a drop off, like a 30-foot drop off. And I'm rolling down this hill, and I land in a bush, and literally, like, here, I can hear a knife. And like, dude, like these kids, it's like pack mentality. Like 100% believe one of these kids would have actually done something terrible that night. So, anyways, we get away. I remember going home, dude, and my mom was out of town. And it's one of those moments I remember like breaking down and crying and like back against my garage door. I'm all jacked up and bleeding. My legs messed up, and I'm drunk and probably on Xanax. And like it was just, man, dude, like that was one of the nights that it could have all gone away.
Yep.
And
That's wild, dude.
it's crazy because they're not cute stories. Like I'm really good at storytelling.
Yeah.
So I make stuff fun, but that's one of the ones that like can't be told in a funny way.
No.
And this is the crazy part. This is where maybe some resentment towards police officers had been established with me.
Mm-hmm.
As this is happening or shortly after, these same people start trying to hit licks in the house on people in the house and then try to get the owner of the house. And I remember he had a big black truck and he was like out front and his girlfriend comes out and like these guys grabbed his girlfriend by her hair and they're like dragging her down the street. He pulled a gun out. Dude, I mean, how many situations have you read and heard about and see as a police officer where that same shit happens
Mm-hmm.
and someone's dead? So like the next day, everybody's tripping because all this crazy stuff just happened.
It's always over something really dumb.
Probably
Yeah.
sub $5,000 of pot. And I remember as a unit, all these people that were, getting in trouble had basically agreed that this needs to stop. This is too far. No one's doing anything back because someone's going to die. So I remember a whole bunch of people filed police reports, myself included. And the Melbourne Police Department like lost the paperwork. They like didn't really look into it,
You
didn't
don't
really
lose
pursue
paperwork.
it. And we'd call and they'd say like, yeah, someone's gonna call you, and then just
Do you know who those people were? Or
oh yeah,
you
we knew their names and everything. And at
Hmm.
this point, it was so bad that people
Did
were
anybody want to prosecute for it?
like actually testify and go to court.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like even
And
the
they didn't do
people.
nothing.
No. And
that sucks.
but at the time I don't think we put enough pressure. We probably called a couple times, we're still young.
It's
But
unfortunate.
yeah, man, it's so cool to be here with you and see you end up on the law enforcement side, me end up on the mental health, motivational speaking side, because like never at any
Oh yeah,
point.
that's cool, man. That you're going to the schools and talking
Yeah,
to the kids.
dude. And
That's
I
awesome.
want people to know I'm not ever trying to be cool, man. Judge the shit out of me for all I care because you should. Just make sure you're judging that version of me because I don't like that guy either. But
Yeah.
that guy made decisions that ruined my life and led me to be who I am today, which hopefully you enjoy me a little bit now.
Yeah.
Hopefully I sit a
I
little
love you,
higher.
bro, man. And we've gone through a lot of stuff.
I love you too.
I'm
I told you this was going to be great,
proud of
bro.
what you accomplished.
Give it to me. I told you this was going to be more than we expected.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't title the episode. I knew that the skateboarding and stuff was just going to be
Yeah,
the
you never
tip
know
of
where
the
it's gonna
iceberg.
go, dude.
No,
You never know where it's gonna go.
we are going to go
We've
to the
probably been at this
Condiegos
for way too long.
in the skate park. Yeah, so that's a wrap. If you guys want to follow Ryan, make sure you click all the links in the description. Extremely proud of you, bro. Continue to do what you're doing.
We could probably touch on a lot more, and there's probably some things I'm gonna look back and I'm like, oh, I should have said that. Like my biggest critic.
We'll have to do a part 2.
Yeah.
So
we'll
y'all keep an eye. David Moorfield, part 2. He's coming back soon.
Nice.
So make sure you guys subscribe, drop some comments to my boy Ryan Manning, and we'll see you guys next time. Trust the process. Yeehaw, people. All right, I'll see you guys later.